Thanks for joining us. So, as we all know, March Madness has been happening for the past month and a half now. So, Belle, what schools were your top picks for men's and women's?
Ooh, my top picks. Okay, so whenever I do brackets, I always choose like a favorite and then I'll choose like a least favorite. I mean, not a least favorite, but like the most picked or whatever. So my top, of course, was UConn. That was my top choice. Um, but then I really wanted Tennessee to pull through for men's. For women's, obviously, I had Iowa as my top pick. But I also I really wanted LSU to pull through again. But I
Yeah.
knew that since Iowa and LSU were in the same division for this year's NCAA championship, that probably wouldn't happen, unfortunately. And it
hmm
did. What about you?
So I didn't play the women's brackets, but I did play the men's. The way I did it is I just kind of at some point, I had SDSU winning, even though I think they were like the 14th seed or something, in the beginning of it and everything. But I had to do that because my stepmom is an alum and my stepbrother goes there. And then
Ooh.
I
Sorry, wrestling.
Sorry. But for sure, like for the winningest teams, I had UConn, and then for another bracket, I had Purdue, just because just because of the seed rank. I don't really pay attention to March Madness for context. Belle was just like, "Hey, do you want to do this?" And I was like, "Sure." And so I fucked around and found out.
Period. I had Dayton as one of my fun little silly ones like SDSU.
Really?
So they were never gonna win.
Right, right. You gotta take your
But
chances, though.
you never know. It's March Madness. Shit goes wild.
Yeah. Um, So how crazy is it? Or I guess how normal is it, do you think, that after first round brackets there were none winning, I guess?
Usually I feel like it takes longer for every single person's brackets to bust. But I think this year we just had a lot of upsets and things that like people didn't even think would happen.
Yeah.
So I like it definitely, I don't want to say unprecedented because it probably has happened before and multiple times, but I feel like this is the first year where I've really seen those posts so quickly
hmm
on my feed that all brackets have busted. So I definitely think they kept a lot of these like lower seed teams kept us on our toes that first round. I mean, I was out first round, so
Yeah.
you know.
So how many years have you participated in March Madness and the
Oh,
bracket challenge?
I'm so bad at it. All of a sudden it'll just start and I'm like, oh yeah, I said I was going to do that. But I want to say that I've done it and don't hold me to this. At least all 4 years
Okay.
the of college.
Right.
I never take it seriously like you said. I don't enjoy watching college basketball until March Madness. So
hmm
I'm very out of the loop of what's going on. And part of that could be because Mizzou sucks. So I've
Right.
never had a reason to watch college basketball. Um, so I think like I mean, since I'm going to Tennessee next year, I'll probably care a little more. They have
hmm
much better basketball than we do here at Mizzou. But I just think it's so fun to just see like what I can guess and what I can't.
Right.
So, yeah. Do you think you would make a bracket again?
I probably not. I see myself doing more of fantasy football.
Mm.
I would see myself doing that again as opposed to March Madness, just because the whole concept of it confuses me. I remember like Justin used to make brackets for March Madness. He didn't this year, which kind of surprised me a little bit because I was like, I have a bracket. Do you have one made? And he was like, no. And I was like, you watch all the games. What's
Yeah.
happening? But Yeah, and it just the concept just kind of like confuses me a little bit. And some people are gonna disagree and be like, um, what what the heck? You dumb bee, you know? Like it's not I don't know. It's not my
Yeah.
yeah, Daphne even agrees it's not our gig.
No, I think like the biggest one that people like really latched on to, obviously they ended up losing,
Mhm.
was number 11, Duke, I'm not going to say it right, Duquesne. They upset BYU
Uh,
in the first round and people like latched onto them. But of course they dropped to Illinois. But
right.
that was a really fun one to watch like Twitter on. Yeah, it's definitely not for everybody. And it's also hard because like kind of like with the fantasy, how I did, I feel like you probably did the same, is like I like make the bracket and then for March Madness it's a little different, but make the bracket and then kind of forget about it. If you're not watching the games. And if you I never remember who I picked either. When
Right.
I'm like,
I didn't
so
keep track.
did I choose Purdue or Utah State? Like I don't remember.
Hmm. And I will say for women's, although I didn't create any brackets, I did have an inkling that Iowa would win. Just because I don't know, they've seen a lot of, I guess, improvement this year, especially with Caitlin Clark. And I know Caitlin Clark has been like the biggest topic in the world right now. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, that's also a big reason and everything. So,
Yeah, I am kind of upset. I feel like I didn't realize that the women's tournament was like championship was happening until like I was already like at Starbucks doing homework and I was like, oh, well, I
no,
guess I'm not watching that.
yeah,
Guess I'm not one of the 18 million people watching it,
right.
but which is huge. People will watch women's sports if you advertise them. It's
Yes.
crazy,
Isn't
but
it?
and especially when you have personalities like Angel and Caitlin and Paige. I think this year was a great year for women's basket
Oh
for
yeah.
college basketball. And I mean it'll definitely be different next year, but I think that's exciting to kind of see those bigger names that we know leave the picture and see what these smaller names are kind of made of. And there's a girl from Iowa State. I'm not gonna remember her name. Hold on. State freshman women's basketball. Mm, who was it? Oh yeah, Audie Crooks.
Mhm.
I can't wait to see her absolutely light up the floor these next 3 years.
Right.
Mm. Just it's just what March is about is this. And I kind of wish that we had a similar thing like this for other sports. Like I think people would really get into it.
Yeah.
Not sports betting, but making brackets just to see for fun,
Mhm.
like college or NFL, hockey, anything. Like I think it would just be a way to connect fans. So,
Yeah.
commissioners, if you're listening to this, cut me my check if you do it.
Do you feel like you would have been more interested if Mizzou was part of the brackets?
Oh yeah,
Okay.
I was definitely more interested last year
Yeah.
because we made it to Sweet 16.
Right.
It's definitely hard because the I feel like, and you, I think most people would say this, like if your school sucks and you have other schools that you're interested in, like for me, that would be Michigan and Tennessee.
Hmm.
Um, it's still really hard to like be into things like March Madness for if it's not a sport that you're consistently watching. Like I will always watch Michigan um football, Hail Victors. I'll always watch Tennessee football, go Big Orange. But I think like it was hard. Like I didn't wasn't even interested. I was like, oh, Michigan and Tennessee are in it. Okay, cool. Uh, Jeremy's dad had on the Tennessee games, and so I watched them via that. But like
Yeah.
it
Other
wasn't,
than, yeah.
yeah. Like I'm not sitting here like I do in the fall, pulling the games up on my TV, you know?
Right. Right. For sure.
But I think, I don't know, it's kind of sad though. It's like, what do we have to look forward to now? Football starts in like so long.
Yeah.
And nobody
Exactly.
told me to watch golf or
No,
baseball. Baseball in person, yes. Baseball on the TV, no offense, Justin.
I have so much baseball to watch. So much.
But you do have NWSL soccer. And we have the Olympics this year. So it is not going to be a boring summer. It's just going to
Yeah.
be sad and boring. Like,
Yeah.
not like,
God.
um, do you think, because obviously, for those listening, if you don't know, Leah is on the news side of journalism. Do you think if you were to like be asked to switch over to sports at any point, like, is there a sport you'd be interested in? Or like if it was March Madness, like if you end up in a market that had like say in Illinois that has a huge basketball team, like would you want to try it out or like what are your thoughts on that?
I feel like, yeah, I definitely give it a try, but I wouldn't, I feel like I wouldn't see myself doing that in the long run. When it comes to like sports reporting, I feel like I would need to know a lot of different like terms and everything. Like you definitely have to understand the sport. You definitely have to understand how to explain what happened to the audience in a way that makes it understandable. I had a girl who I went to high school with. She was a sideline reporter and she graduated from K-State. And so I watched her reels for like sideline reporting for their baseball team and everything. I feel like if I had to choose a sport to sideline report for, I would probably do baseball, and then I would also probably do football. Football would be a really fun environment. I just feel like because it's outside, that adds to it a lot too. Whereas
Mhm.
basketball, it being inside, not too much you can control. I mean, to me anyway, when it comes to videography and stuff, I feel like outside's definitely more interesting. But yeah,
Yeah.
that'll be my answer to that question.
Basketball is also definitely harder to shoot too versus other sports.
Oh, absolutely. I'm sure. In the same regard, if you had to choose, I guess, a sport to report on and you can't say wrestling, what would be, I guess, your second best option? I guess between, if we're staying on topic here, football and basketball.
Mm. I think uh obviously I think every sports reporter's dream is to cover football.
Hmm.
But I think basketball would be more fun. One, I think I'm too big of a football fan right now. If the Chiefs start sucking, different story. Let's not let's not talk about Rishi Rice. Yep. Um,
That never
but
happened.
yeah, but I think basketball because a lot of those players are really good at sit down conversations.
Mm.
And obviously my like specialty has always been profile and feature stories. So I think that it would be a lot of fun to just cover that. And you see a lot more trades in basketball
Hmm.
and football that mean a lot more. Um, and you can travel more and do it internationally too. And I think that's a big thing for me is being able to do international sports, fingers crossed, over until like I like choose to settle down. Like I'd love to go over, cover European leagues, European soccer, whatever. So I think my choice would be basketball.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah. I think that if next year you are not tuned into Women's March Madness, you should be. Um, it was such a fun March Madness to watch. I mean, at the end, I think what was really interesting about both brackets is you had number one versus number one.
Hmm.
Um, which I always try and manifest that that won't happen, but it was great to watch greats play each other. And whether it's South Carolina or Iowa won, like you had a great story out of both. And I think it'll be really fun to just tune into March Madness for next season, women's, but also WNBA, because Caitlin's going. She's going to dominate. She's going to be great. So support women's sport and go Casey Current. But if anybody wants to buy me Casey Current tickets, you're welcome to. But yeah.
All right.
Also, Leah and I are only, by the time this is posted, depending on how you count, 3 to 4 Fridays away from graduation. So
We're almost there. We're so close. So excited.
mom's cheering in the back.
Oh. All right. Well, thank you for joining us during this discussion. So, if you have any comments about basketball, March Madness, questions, concerns, opinions, please comment down below or give us a shout out in an email, whatever. You know, we'd love to hear from you guys. Yeah, but for now, cheers!
Cheers.